everyone, and thank you for being with us today. My wife Brenda worked with special needs children. She's a gifted teacher. Often she's talked to me about the students who are assigned to her class. She shared with me that there is a folder that follows each child. And in that folder contains a record of their past educational and behavioral history. Working with children with special needs, behavioral problems are not uncommon. It's likely that the child has been transferred from school to school. But Brenda has a process that governs the way she will interact with each student. And a major part of that process is never to work with a child based on someone else's experience with them. Her initial approach is to try and understand the child and how he or she learns so as to move the child from where he is to where he needs to be. She's very patient, never raising her voice even when the kids are out of control. Her students just love her, they adore her, and they protect her. If anyone so much as looks at her wrong, they jump to her defense, and that goes for child or adult. She has become the go-to person for behaviors in the entire school. She has a gift for working with children no one else wants to work with. Her colleagues often ask her, "How do you get these kids to respect and listen to you?" And her response is, "Because I respect and listen to them." In the book, Church Administration in the Black Perspective, written by Dr. Floyd Massey Jr. and Dr. Samuel B. McKinney, two well-respected pastors and leaders in the Black church, they make a statement regarding the ministry of music, the music ministry department, that I very much disagree with. On page 42, they write, "The music department has been called the war department of the church simply because there is more potential for conflict among groups that meet often than among those that don't. Frequency of interaction often makes groups organized to engender creative tension repositories of degenerate tension." Now here's my problem with that statement. A repository is a place for storing and keeping things safe. The dictionary defines the word degenerative of a disease or symptom characterized by progressive, often irreversible deterioration and loss of function. Now, let's imagine you're the teacher, the minister of music, and your students, the choir, all come with a folder of their past behavior. Now, in the folder, you will find an evaluation. And the evaluation reads this way: the behavior of this group is something they cherish and hold very dear. In fact, they have made it a prerequisite for membership. They will not allow anyone in any way to alter, modify, or amend their behavior. The only thing one can expect of this group is their behavior will never get better. How would you react to that statement? Would you still be willing to work with them? Now let me quickly say that Dr. Massey and Dr. McKinney, they're not lying about the behavior of the music ministry department. Is there tension and conflict within the music ministry department? Yes. Has the music ministry department been responsible for causing confusion in the church? Absolutely. Do they fight among themselves? They sure do. Now, as the oldest son of a Baptist preacher and pastor, I can tell you from firsthand experience that choirs and musicians have a history of terrible behavior in the church. But should a leader's approach to the ministry and the people in the ministry be based on their past behavior? Should his or her relationship with the group be based on someone else's experience with the group or someone else's experience with an individual in the group? I should hope not. You see, the challenge for the leader is to try and get a group of people from different backgrounds, different church and choir experiences, or no church experience, to embrace the concept of community. Music is an art, and sometimes those who participate have competitive spirits. Leaders should know that choirs have predisposed ways of thinking and doing things before you even arrive. Now, the first order of business should be to get to know your people and allow them to get to know you. Now, I'm not suggesting, a buddy-buddy relationship, but I am suggesting they get to know that you have their best interests at heart. When you understand the needs of the people and take steps to meet those needs, you take your ministry to a new level because you unleash people potential. Your people need to know you are sincere and trustworthy. And they need to know that your vision for ministry, where you are trying to take them. Listen, successful leadership is 90% people knowledge and 10% product knowledge. This is important to remember as a leader. The choir rehearsal session is a very important time of the week for both the choir and the leader. It's a place where each gets to know the other. The question is, how do you prepare for rehearsals? What will be your approach to your rehearsal? Do you know how best to teach the music you've chosen? Do you know how your people learn? Are you open to restructuring or rethinking your approach to fit the needs of your people? Leaders who walk into a situation with methods written in stone, one size fits all, is more concerned about the product, music, than the process, people. But trust me, the latter will inevitably lead to the former. I have musician friends whose attitudes toward the choir is, this is who I am. This is how I do things. I've been this way all my life. So you either get on board or become an usher. Now the music in the choir may be great, but the conflict and the tension will continue to exist. A leader needs to focus on both music and people. Now, because Brenda has great teaching gifts, she has been sought after by principals all over the district. She has a great reputation and a great track record. When she took the position at her current school, she was the third person to hold that job. She was brought in, given the layout of where the special needs program was and where they wanted to go. They knew what they wanted, but they didn't know how to get there. So she took some time to assess the situation and began developing the program based on her assessments. The program has been successful. The only thing they needed was a qualified person in that position. Finding a qualified person for the ministry of music is not always easy. So we tend to put people in the position who are not qualified. So it shouldn't be a surprise when the outcome is not what we'd hoped for. But for me, the larger issue is, do pastors really want a minister of music, or are they looking for a hired hand? I once attended a conference where there was a panel discussion consisting of both pastors and musicians. The discussion centered around the role of the minister of music in the church. Two of the pastors on the panel were music majors in undergraduate school. But interestingly enough, both had the same thing to say about the role of the minister of music. They said, all I want from a minister of music is the teaching of music. I don't want my minister of music doing any kind of biblical teaching. That's my job. Many pastors feel that way. But that relegates the musician to the status of hired hand. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't want a hired hand teaching my people either. But here's the problem. With a hired hand, there's no buy-in, no sense of ownership in the ministry. They're not invested. They have no investment in the ministry. Therefore, the person you've given the title minister of music is really not a minister at all. He or she is just a musician who works at your church. So the question remains, does the church really want a minister of music? Because an authentic minister of music is a partner in ministry. He's not a hired hand. But it's the hired hand that has contributed to much of the dysfunction within the music ministry. And pastors have to share in that responsibility in that they do the hiring and the firing. So it seems that the natural outcome of a group with a history of being led by unqualified people would be conflict, tension, confusion, and undermining. And that makes sense because in that all groups take on the personality and attitude of their leader. So if you buy into that hired hand philosophy, you have no right to call the music ministry the War Department. I'm Eli Wilson Jr. Until next time, you be blessed.
You answer me when I call. You catch me each time.